Today we are combining two of my loves, personality tests and books. So I am going to be reading books based on my personality types. And we're going to be doing the Enneagram and Myers-Briggs, baby. Myers-Briggs was my entry point into the world of personality tests. Enneagram was a more recent discovery, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, but I love them both dearly. I am by no means an expert, just surface level kind of enthusiasm and not going too deep. But there are people out there that recommend books based off what your personality type is. What are you going to enjoy? What are the vibes that you go for? How does your personality mesh with the kinds of books that you like to read? I wouldn't be able to make these recommendations because I know fuck all about most of these personality types other than my own. So let's start with the Enneagram. This is a 9 personality based things. Each one is a number, 1 to 9. If you want to learn more about it, be my guest. But I am an Enneagram 7, which is the enthusiast. Now, the basic description of the 7 is the busy, fun-loving type, spontaneous, versatile, acquisitive, and scattered. Now you might be thinking, Hannah, that's not you. You're not spontaneous and scattered, you're very regimented and planned. Yes, correct. But remember, I'm a multifaceted human being and I'm not going to be perfectly matched to my personality type. So that part of the 7 I don't relate to, but pretty much everything else I do. The 7's basic fear is of being deprived and in pain, and the basic desire is to be satisfied and content and to have their needs fulfilled. You might be thinking, ain't that everyone? Probably. But basically, I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. The Enneagram website says, 7s are enthusiastic about almost everything that catches their attention. They approach life with curiosity, optimism, and a sense of adventure, like kids in a candy store who look at the world in wide-eyed, rapt anticipation of all the good things they are about to experience. They are bold and vivacious, pursuing what they want in life with a cheerful determination. They have a quality best described by the Yiddish word chutzpah. Yes, that I relate to. And then the thing with the Enneagram is that you also get a wing. Now your wing is kind of like your secondary personality type, and it's one of the numbers next to you. So if you're a 7, you might have a wing 8 or a wing 6. I've never tested for this, but I think my wing is a 6, which kind of calms down the 7 a bit. Like the last time I did an Enneagram test was pre-pandemic and pre-motherhood. And so I really think my wing 6 has come out a lot since then. And so the 6 is the loyalist, which is the committed, security-orientated type, and they are engaging, responsible, anxious, and suspicious. And their basic fear is of being without support and guidance, and the basic desire is to have security and support. I think Dan is a Enneagram 6 through and through. I think he's a 6 wing 5. Anyway, irrelevant. He won't let me test him. And apparently the Enneagram 7 with a 6 wing is called the entertainer. Hello, hello. Are you not entertained? I've never seen Gladiator. And so with that in mind, I went hunting on the internet for some book recommendations for Enneagram 7s. And I'll tell you what, there was a lot of recommendations for Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert, which I have read and loved, but it was not my favorite Brown sister book. I think my favorite is the Danny Brown one. I saw a recommendation for Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is honestly one of my favorite books. And then I also saw a recommendation for A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. Never heard of this before, but I'm pretty sure that V.E. Schwab, maybe this book, maybe another book, is on our TCR TBR, which is the Common Room TBR, to be read. This is a list of book recommendations that we've put together as a community in the Discord server because a lot of people in there be reading and recommending books, and I've compiled a list of all of the books that very often get recommended by people in there, that a lot of people in there have read and enjoyed, and the books that a lot of people in the community like to talk about. And I'm pretty sure I recognize the author's name from the list, because it's not just a list of books I've read, it's everybody. So if you do sign up to be a patron, you get access to the TCR, TBR. And then this is the place where I found my recommendation, the book that I was going to read. It was on bookriot.com. And one of the books that they recommended for the Enneagram 7 was Beach Read by Emily Henry. Now, I love Emily Henry. She is one of my favorite romance authors, and Beach Read is one of hers that I have not read yet. And so I thought, perfect, I want to read more Emily Henry, so let's gut. The premise of this book is that you've got a romance writer who has writer's block. She's moved to her dad's old house after he's died, and her next door neighbor is a famous literary writer, and they are rivals. Obviously, it's a rivals to lovers situation, but they decide to swap genres. So she writes some literary fiction and he is challenged with writing some romance to see how hard it really is. So that is my Enneagram 7 read. So, Myers-Briggs, or the 16 personalities. I am an ENFJ, which is the protagonist. Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel and my life. She's got main character energy. So, ENFJs, inspiring optimists, readily taking action to do what they feel is right. These warm, forthright types love helping others, and they tend to have strong ideas and values. They back their perspective with the creative energy to achieve their goals. ENFJs are born leaders, which explains why these personalities can be found among notable politicians, coaches, and teachers, and YouTubers. Their passion and charisma allow them to inspire others, not just in their careers, but in every arena of their lives, including their relationships. Few things bring people with the ENFJ personality type a deeper sense of joy and fulfillment than guiding friends and loved ones to grow into their best selves. Wow, I should become like a self-development guru. That's clearly my destiny. ENFJs possess the unique ability to remain hopeful in the face of difficulties, always remembering that there is something to be grateful for. So the ENFJ stands for extrovert, intuition, feeling, and judging. Those are my components, or whatever, if you will, of the 16 personalities. That with all of these personality tests, you can go so deep and hard into the rabbit hole of them. I almost did for Myers-Briggs at one point, started learning about functions, and then I was just like, I don't care. This is too much for me and I don't care enough. So of the many lists and videos of recommendations that I found for ENFJ recommended books, I'd read a lot of them. Never Let Me Go, The Fault in Our Stars, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, A Series of Unfortunate Events, and Normal People and the Hate You Give. I've read them all. I've read all the ENFJ books, but I have not. So the book that I ended up picking as my ENFJ read came from the YouTube channel Official Personality Guru. And honestly, I'm not sure if this channel is a real person or like an AI voiceover situation. I don't know. But they recommended a bunch of books, but the one that piqued my interest, surprisingly to me, I was very surprised that this was the one I ended up going for, was The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandra Dumas. A classic, if you will. She doesn't read classics. I read sci-fi and fantasy and romance and contemporary. A classic? So the thing that got me with this description of The Count of Monte Cristo was that it sounded like Shawshank Redemption to me. It was like, someone's imprisoned and they're innocent and they break out. And that was all I understood. And I was like, Shawshank, let's go, because I love that film. And I just thought it would be a bit of a stretch read, you know, kind of interesting. So before I take you on my reading journey with these two books on this reading vlog, I want to tell you a little bit about this video's sponsor, Squarespace. Whether you're just starting out in the freelance world or you're a small business owner, Squarespace makes it super easy to create your own beautiful website, engage your audience, and sell anything from physical and digital products to courses and even your time, all in one place, all on your terms. I have been using Squarespace for years for all of my websites and various different projects. They have gorgeous and flexible website templates, so you just pick the one that is right for you and whatever it is that you are creating, and then you add your own branding and content. And with their fluid engine, it is super easy and intuitive. Everything is drag and drop, and it is just really powerful, and you can make the most stunning, clear, beautiful websites to your specifications with basically no website design experience. Wonderful. And if you need a little guiding hand, Squarespace Blueprint is exactly that. It is an interactive website design experience, a fully guided process in creating your own website. Basically holds your hand through the whole thing. And Squarespace Blueprint also has optimized SEO tools to help you stand out more in people's searches and get discovered. So if you're a freelancer or a small business owner, it is so useful to have your own website as a hub of everything you do and show off your portfolio. So to get creating, you can go to squarespace.com to start your free trial, and then when you are ready to launch your website into the world, you can go to squarespace.com/morehannah to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and now on to the personality books. Hello, it's reading vlog time. All right, I'm back from my holiday. I didn't film any reading updates whilst I was on holiday because I was on holiday, but I did get a good chunk of the way through Beach Read by Emily Henry, which I believe is the Enneagram 7 recommendation. And I have an hour 19 left. I'm almost done and I haven't been able to do any updates, but my general thoughts so far is that I'm liking it, but it isn't my favorite Emily Henry romance. I did look it up, and I don't know if it's her first book that she ever published, but in terms of the ones that I have read, it is the earliest published one. So it goes Beach Read, Book Lovers, then Happy Place, and then Funny Story in terms of like chronologically published. And I feel like I can tell. I can tell that it's not as mature as the other books. The two main characters are Gus and January. And one of the things that I love about Emily Henry's books is the location, the setting that she kind of brings to life, and then also all of the supporting cast, all of the other characters. But I feel like this book is lacking in that. I feel very claustrophobic. Like it's just our two main protagonists, like the main character and her love interest, and I need some other things. Maybe that's very Enneagram 7 of me. But we do get introduced to like Gus's aunt, and January's got a best friend, but so far her entire relationship with her has been played out over text messages. It's just not as vibrant and not as dynamic as some of her other books. But I'm forgiving her because it's like the earlier one, and then her latest one, Funny Story, I think is my favourite. But in general, I am enjoying it. I'm going through the motions, and I don't know if I've read much Rivals to Lovers, but I was kind of hoping for more rivalry because it's kind of clear from the beginning that the rivalry is never really a rivalry. Like the fancying is already there from the beginning with this kind of like fake rivalry. And like, are there any Rivals to Lovers where it is a genuine rivalry? Like, there's no like buried deep lustful feelings. It is a genuine rivalry, and then it turns into something else. Because this is very much something like rivalry to mask true feelings, to then declaring true feelings kind of romance. It also does feel a bit like our leading man is very like mysterious and brooding, and you know, like has a lot of feelings but is bottling them all up, and it just feels a bit cliched to me. It feels a bit tired to me, his characterization. Do I have anything good to say about this book? God, Hannah, yes, I do. There's a cult subplot. Not what I was expecting, but the two main characters are both authors, they're writers. Also, okay, this book is called Beach Read. Our two main characters are writers. One of them is a romance writer. It's all very meta. Normally I quite like a meta situation because Emily Henry's next book, the first one of hers I read, Book Lovers, is also kind of about the publishing industry. Our two main characters are an editor and a book agent. And so that's also very much dealing with like literary romance tropes and being very like side-eye, acknowledging, self-aware. This is trying to do the same thing, but I just think not as well, which makes sense because it came first. But the cult thing. So Gus is a literary fiction writer, and he's currently researching a book about cults, and he takes January with him on some of his research expeditions. So interviewing actual people who have been in a cult, survived a cult, and then like going to a site where there was a cult, but the like cult leader like burned the entire thing down and killed everybody. I'm sorry, this is a romance book, and there's even a very saucy scene that like happens in this place where lots of people died. Anyway, it's very like, whoa, like fun, jolly romance, tropey, like saucy, spicy, all of that kind of stuff. And then it pulls you into this absolute
darkness of like a cult. Luckily, I love me some cult fiction. I very much enjoy reading fiction and the occasional true crime about cults. And so there is something about it that is working for me. I know it sounds strange. Maybe it's an Enneagram 7 thing, because I'm like, I need to be pulled in like all these different directions. I need like different things going on, but I like the cult subplot. It is jarring at times, but I'm glad it's there. But that is where we are at. But another huge thing happened whilst on holiday. In relation to this video, this is mad. So you know how, as a complete wildcard, I decided to read The Count of Monte Cristo as the ENFJ book for this video. I'm not really a classics reader. I don't know much about this book, and yet the blurb intrigued me. I then go on holiday to Marseille, only to find that literally right off the coast of Marseille, they do daily regular boat trips there. It's a place called Chateau d'If. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly, but it's like if. Is it Chateau d'If in French, or do you actually pronounce the F? I'm not sure. Chateau d'If, Chateau d'If, Chateau d'If. Anyway, it's just a big rock castle situation. We didn't get a chance to go there just because it looked very exposed to the sun and we have a toddler, and didn't get a chance. However, it turns out that that fucking castle, Chateau d'If, is where Alexander Dumas, who wrote The Count of Monte Cristo, like based the location of his book off. So that castle is famous literally because of this book, because this man made that castle famous because of his book that turned into a classic. And I planned on reading that book not knowing any of this, show up on Marseille. Anyway, it's a sign. It's a fucking sign that I'm gonna love this book. No, I honestly don't know. But how weird is that? How random is that? Shame I didn't actually get to go to the fucking castle. But I got some clips of the castle from the top of the basilica. You can see it far off in the distance. Chateau d'If. Chateau d'If. Anyway, hopefully you'll have some more regular reading updates now that I am back. So I finished Beach Read, and yes, it was fine, but as I said, not my fave, Emily Henry. One thing I didn't mention is that this book has like big dead dad grief themes throughout, and then part of the kind of like emotional climax is a lot of the reckoning with that. And in terms of like big themes of the book, a lot of it, yes, is about writing, the art of writing and writer's block, and then also just about, can you ever truly know someone? And if somebody isn't who you originally thought they were, does that take away from the version of them that you knew? And then of course you've got the whole cult thing. I will say, Emily Henry's books, she manages just like to pack a lot in thematically, but I think this was one book that I personally felt was a bit confused thematically, whereas others, they all kind of like tied neatly together or were related. I don't know, you could feel it all coming together nicely. Whereas this book, all of the different elements that were happening were interesting and fine, but I wasn't personally like really feeling the like scope of the big picture of it all. And the thing that really let it down for me personally was the lack of depth with the supporting cast. And I get that they're not the main characters, but she does it really well in later books, really fleshing out the friends, the family, the local people and everything. And it just doesn't hit in this book as well. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars, which feels harsh, but I think I gave Happy Place 4 stars, and I preferred Happy Place to this. So that's how I'm ranking things now, apparently, is it's just all relational. I find the stars very difficult. And I guess whilst we're here, I started The Count of Monte Cristo this morning. I'm listening to it, and I'm obsessed with the narrator voice. It's, oh, listen.
Affecting to pity the young man from the bottom of his heart. Why, you see, he did not expect to see Dante's return so suddenly. He thought he was dead, perhaps.
There's something about that just like classic deep man voice telling a story. It's great, I love it. But I am just under an hour in, and it's long. We've got 37 hours to go. But I'm already very excited by the fact that it's set in Marseille, and I was just in Marseille. And so far, it's just a lot of men talking about other men, and they're scheming. And I think something bad is gonna happen to our young sailor. But I'm liking it. So far, we're an hour in. If anything, I'm just pleased with myself that I'm following along, because I genuinely do struggle with classics, and I'm just like, a lot of it washes over me. I'm like, what's happening? I don't understand. But this, other than trying to figure out which man is talking to which man about which man, I think I'm getting it. I just got back from dropping off Rowan. I'm listening to The Count of Monte Cristo, and it is pronounced Chateau d'If. Chateau d'If. So our Edmond Dantes has been arrested and he's been taken prisoner and is going to Chateau d'If. There was an entire chapter where it was a scene of a conversation between a bunch of people, and I struggled to keep up. I couldn't figure it out who was who and what on earth they were talking about. It was very related to like 19th century French politics. And I did study history at uni, but not specifically French history. And I'm confused because I'm pretty sure this book is set like 1850 or something, around then. I don't know. Bonaparte is gone. He's done, but not done. Because they were having a conversation. He's currently on a different island, and they were talking about the fact that he's going to be sent to St. Helena. And I know that Bonaparte died on the Isle of St. Helena. So Bonaparte is still alive, and they're all like worried about like Bonaparte, like people who are still like loyal to him. And then there's all the other different factions, and then there's the royalists, and they were talking about the king. And I'm like, didn't the French already chop all their heads off? Bonaparte came after, did he not? Did the French do a British and like get rid of their king and then have a bit of a time without a king and then reinstate their king? But the French currently don't have a monarchy. Come on, guys. The French people here. Did you guys then get rid of your monarchy again? So yeah, I feel like I need to like brush up on my French history a bit to kind of like follow the politics of this book. Or maybe it's not necessary. I don't know. I feel like it will like add a bit more understanding if I'm familiar with the history and the timeline and the political factions. There are a lot of other references that I get, like they talked about the terror. They did mention heads getting lobbed off, so that has already happened, but I didn't realise that then you had a king again after. I'm saying you, like I'm talking directly to you, a French person. Yeah, so that's where we're at with The Count of Monte Cristo. And so now we continue with The Count of Monte Cristo. It's not gonna be a quick read. I have 35 hours left. We'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, the French history confusion is no more. Basically, I thought it said at the beginning of the book that it was set in 1850. It's not. It's set in 1815, which would have made so much more sense in my head because a date that is stuck in my head is at the Battle of Waterloo. It's 1815. Like that's just a date that I know. And so that's when Napoleon got defeated for good before he got sent to St. Helena. So this book is set in 1815, or at least the first bit of it was. We've now jumped forwards. So Napoleon, my absolute scraps of knowledge about him, becomes Emperor of France. I think he's Italian. Honestly, I'm not sure. He gets defeated, right? And then gets sent to the Isle of Elba and stays there for like 10 years or something. In the meantime, they restore the Bourbons to the throne. So at the start of this book, Louis XVIII is King of France. Which was the Louis that got his head lobbed off? 14th? French Revolution. No, Louis the 16th. So where's Louis the 17th? Did they just kill his son? Right, Louis the 16th. So where's Louis the... Where did Louis the 17th go? Anyway, irrelevant. Irrelevant to what's currently happening. Then Louis the 18th, Bourbons, Napoleon escapes the Isle of Elba, comes back, rules for a little bit amount of time, and then gets defeated again at the Battle of Waterloo, which is when they send him to St. Helena, which is a lot further away, like an island in the Atlantic somewhere rather than in the Mediterranean. So now I'm caught up. What I didn't realise though is that then after they defeated Napoleon the second time, Louis XVIII got put back on the throne again. I'm like, I thought French monarchy. Oh, here we go. Timeline. Give it to me. Let's find out. Okay, so Louis the 16th, guillotine. Wikipedia says formally disposed, following the proclamation of the First Republic, executed in public, formally deposed, head lobbed off. And then, right, Louis the 17th, was a baby. Not a baby. He was a claimant, so never actually became king, and remained his entire reign in captivity. Okay, so he's the 17th, but he wasn't ever officially king. Right, then we get the Bonapartes, which is just one, Bonaparte II, unrecognized. Right, then we get Louis the 18th, which is where we are now. And then we go back to Bonaparte for the 100 days, and now we're back to Louis the 18th. And then what happens? Then you get a Charles, and then you've got some like claimants of other Louis and Henrys, and then you get Louis Philippe, and then you get Napoleon III, the nephew of Napoleon I. So he does a bit of ruling, the Second French Empire, right? And then, okay, right, and he's the last one on this Wikipedia page. Here we go. So captured by the German army on the 2nd of September 1870, deposed in absentia following the proclamation of the Third Republic. So France, are you guys still in your Third Republic? Let's find out. Oh no, the Third Republic. This is such a tangent. Why are we having like a history lesson? I love it when books do this. You're like, I need to understand the scope. Anyway, this book is not set during the French Third Republic. This book is set post-Napoleon. We're in Louis XVIII, the desired reign. Okay. Oh, interesting fun facts about Louis XVIII. Attempted to rule under a constitutional monarchy, and he is the last French monarch to die while still reigning. All the others either like abdicated or were like taken off the throne before they died. Anyway, that's all irrelevant now because Napoleon is gone. They really like brushed over Napoleon coming back. It was basically just like a political thing for justifying the imprisonment of our main character, Edmond Dantes, who's now been imprisoned for like 2 years in like solitary confinement on Chateau d'If. So, I mean, it still feels like I'm very early in this book, but all of that just felt like prologue exposition. Exposition? I don't know what word I'm saying. So now we're on to, I don't know, how is he going to escape? And then he's going to enact his revenge. But on who? On what's his name? Oh, I've forgotten his name already. Fuck. Who's he going to get revenge on? On the magistrate who imprisoned him, or on the 2 schemers who got him arrested in the first place? There's a lot of people to get revenge on. This is kind of funny that there was the book that I DNF'd because I was just like, ugh, I don't like a revenge story. And now I'm like, give me the revenge story. I don't know. It's interesting. Maybe it's the execution of it. We'll find out. We'll find out. Okay. I am 16 and a half hours into The Count of Monte Cristo. There's 24 and a half hours left. This book is long. And like, I'm used to my long epic fantasy novels, but this, I'm like, oh my god, the story hasn't even started yet. Like, what is going to happen? Like, I've got no like reference points because I don't really read that many classics, any classics, to kind of understand what the beats of the narrative are. But here's where we're at. Right, a lot has changed. Oh my god, right, my brain. Okay, the main thing that I think is kind of interesting to note is that this is a revenge story, or at least it's going to be a revenge story. We've not actually got to the revenge. And in the last reading vlog I did, there was a revenge story, and I hated it. It was like one of the key components of that book that made me put it down and not finish the book. I was like, not interested. I am interested in this revenge story. I am intrigued, but I think it's because it feels earned. And here's where I think the differences are. In the one that I DNF'd, our character just has a horrible thing happen to them and then immediately goes, revenge. And then they do the like artificial like age acceleration thing. So they go from being like 14 years old to 20 and all of the events are just like taking place, and you know, the age jump cheat, didn't like. In this book, our main character has a horrible thing happen to them. They don't even realise that like there were people who orchestrated it. Eventually, with the help of someone else, they figure out that someone did them dirty. A few people did them dirty, but they're in prison for 14 years. 14 years. And then they escape, and then they need to figure their shit out to be able to like get revenge on them. It just feels more earned. The stakes feel higher. But then we jump to an entirely different like main character, or at least narrator, or like point of view. So I was getting very confused. Like, Edmund escapes Chateau d'If and he finds the treasure. So he's suddenly very, very wealthy. I'm like, how the hell is he going to keep this treasure and spend this treasure without arousing suspicion? Anyway, the first few things he does is he helps the people who helped him. And then that whole bit like ends with him being like, right, Good Samaritan gone, now I'm on to revenge. And then it just switches to an entirely different point of view. And I was like, oh my god, it's a new group of characters, a new group of men.
in a room talking at each other, and then another man was there telling the story about some other people, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm so lost, I'm so confused. I've not been able to keep track of like who these people are and then who the people in the story that's being told are. I had to go on SparkNotes. I had to look up chapter summaries on SparkNotes because I was just like, what's happening? And it turns out I missed a key piece of information, which is that we've skipped ahead another 10 years. Like, this is 10 years later. So our main character has now become, in this 10 years that we haven't seen, that we've skipped over, he's become the Count of Monte Cristo. He's been like, you know, weaving in his networks, he's been doing his things, and now we are seeing him, old Edmund, can I even call him Dantes anymore? Like, is he just like Count of Monte Cristo now? Or Sinbad the Sailor? But we're now seeing him through this new character, Franz's perspective. And so it feels like we're in an entirely different story. And I'm like, dude, it's been 10 years and you've not got your revenge yet. I think this is why it's kind of satisfying. You're like, what is he scheming? What is he planning? Like, I feel like because it's taking so long in the book and also in the story itself, like the amount of years it's been, I'm like, oh, it's gotta be good. I hope it's good. And then the other thing that I learned from SparkNotes was another huge thing that I missed, is that one of the new characters that we have met is someone of significance from his previous life, and I just missed that entirely as well. But thank you, SparkNotes. This is one of the reasons why I tend not to read classics, is because I do worry that I'm not going to get it, and then I worry that I'm like not smart enough to read them, and the fact that I've had to like look things up is kind of proving the point to me a little bit. But also I'm just like, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not going to pick up on everything, but I did miss two very big pieces of information. The other thing that I find very interesting about the way that this book is written is that it regularly breaks the fourth wall. And I don't know whether this is like a normal stylistic thing for these kinds of books, but I wrote down some of the ones that I clocked, which is like, as we said, blah, 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 blah. We had forgotten to say that, blah, blah, blah. Most of my readers will be aware, blah, blah, blah. And I just find it really interesting that every so often, like, that just happens and, like, you're addressed, like, directly. But usually, like, as we, not as you. I don't know. And then the other thing that really stood out to me, which is obviously very telling of the time that this was written, is that there was a Jew character who, when Edmund had his, like, diamonds and his, you know, precious stones, he goes to this Jew to exchange it for money, because during that time the only job that Jewish people were allowed to have was being moneylenders, which is where the stereotype comes from, but it's because that job wasn't deemed fit for anyone else. And so, you know, and then he describes them as cunning, and I was just like, yeah, okay, yeah. I was just like, oh yeah, that's when this book was written, but also that is an anti-Semitic stereotype that persists, very much persists today. But it was just like stated in this book, we're just like, yeah, this is normal. This is normal. You do kind of have to like grit your teeth through a lot of the anti-Semitism and like race stuff in the book too. But general plot-wise, who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk I'd go from being like, fuck revenge stories, I don't care, to being like, what's gonna happen? Give me the revenge. But I can't believe that I'm only like a third of the way through. I'm like, what else could happen? What else could happen? It's been 24 years since the start of this book. Like, how many more years? Like, what is the scope of this book? I don't even know. I don't even know what the scope of this book is. And I'm like, we shall see. We shall see. Okay, right. Once again, I'm really fucking confused. Right, our Count of Monte Cristo has made his way to Paris, and suddenly he's encountering all of these people who, you know, played a role in his imprisonment. He's like part of society, and I am very much enjoying the kind of like political maneuverings, like the power plays, like, you know, none of these people, bar one, recognize him from before. And so I'm like, what's your game plan? What's your game plan? And I'm enjoying kind of slowly seeing the pieces of the chessboard being moved. Like, that's very satisfying to me. However, we've got more men talking in rooms and a lot more talk of slaves and mistresses and slave mistresses, which is just always going to be one of the dangers of reading classics, is that you're going to encounter shit like that and you're like, okay. But here's the thing that's really confusing me. One of the characters had just told a story about how he killed somebody else, like a significant character in the past. He was like telling this story, it already happened. Next thing I fucking know, the Count in Monte Cristo is talking to this character that I thought was dead. that I thought had been killed. And now I'm like, Spark Notes, help me out here. What is going on? Right, okay. He may not have been killed, but he definitely was stabbed. So maybe he survived it and we didn't know that. Right, let's catch up. Yeah. I clocked all of this stuff. Right, that's it. Right, so it's not giving me any information. I'm assuming that he survived the stabbing, but no one's really talking about it. There we go. But I'm enjoying this section of the book with the like scheming and society. It's very Game of Thrones, it's very Bridgerton, you know, plotting, wooing people, gaining their favors, but really you're planning their demise. How far through are we? 22 hours in. Oh my God, I'm over halfway through. I'm 22 hours in and I've got 20 hours left. Oh my God, I've officially hit the halfway mark. What else is gonna happen in this book? I have been getting through the Count of Monte Cristo. I've got 9.5 hours left, which is the length of a normal book, but it feels like I'm in the home stretch. And oh my goodness, this book, there's so much going on. And yet, our Count, aka Edmond Dantes from the beginning, still hasn't fully enacted his revenge. Like, this book to me really feels like the epitome of the phrase, revenge is a dish best served cold. Because our Count is like scheming and he's doing things and you know that he's like got some big plan, but you like don't know what it is, and you're like seeing all of the individual pieces of it but not how the whole thing comes together. And as a reader, I find that very satisfying. Like, I feel like it's giving me enough information that I can feel intrigued and start to connect the dots, but not enough information that it feels predictable, because I'm like, I honestly have no idea what's gonna happen. But I'm seeing all of the pieces, I just can't picture the end point. I've now just gotten into the habit of like listening to a few chapters and then just reading the Spark Notes summaries just to make sure that I've got everything, all of the crucial information, because I do find myself zoning out when it's a chapter where a character is telling a story. So like when they're like relating past events, I don't know, I find it really hard to concentrate in those scenes and I just zone out, and then I'm like, what information did they give away? I don't know. But there is so much going on in this book. We've got star-crossed lovers, we've got arranged marriages that nobody wants, you've got like inheritance feuds, you've got people being traitorous in their past and like being found out in the present, you've got a serial killer poisoner who's trying to frame somebody else, there's a long lost bastard child from a love affair of two characters that nobody else like really knows about, that they had a love child together. Is it a love child? I'm not sure. But you've got people in disguise pretending to be other people. There's just like fraud everywhere. It's got a lot going on. It's a very ambitious book. Wait, how many pages is it? Like, I know how many hours it is, but like how many pages long is this book? Oh my God, there's a film. Wait, there's 2 films. Wait, hold on. There's a 2024 film and then there's a 2002 film. There are so many signs that it was right for me to read this book. My friend is currently dog sitting and the dog is called Monty, and they don't know like what kind of Monty they are, but they've just been calling the dog Monte Cristo. And I was like, I'm reading Monte Cristo. Oh my God, right, how long is this book? Give me page information. Why are you doing this to me? 1,312 pages. It's a big book. Okay, right, but now, oh my God, we need to see this 2024 film that they're doing of the Count of Monte Cristo. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to like watch it. Count of Monte Cristo 2024. Is it out? Release date 30th of August 2024. That's at the end of this month that I'm filming it. Oh my God, we're gonna have to go to the cinema. It's a French film. Right, let's watch this. Oh my God, that's Marseille. I've been there. Oh my God, am I becoming a Monte Cristo fan girl? Wait, do I want to wait until I finish the book? No, we're just gonna watch it. I'm too excited. Okay, let's go. Play. Oh.
Il y a des années, j'ai aimé une jeune femme.
Oh, we got Edmund and Mercedes. Oh, they've made it more dramatic and they've arrested him during the wedding rather than like the pre-wedding feast.
Dantes nous a trahis alors qu'il est le sort des traîtres.
Je suis innocent! J'ai rien fait, je suis innocent!
Oh.
Il vivra.
Oh, she's sad.
Mais pour tout le monde, il sera mort.
Oh, there's Chateau d'If!
Qui êtes-vous? Je suis l'abbé.
Valérie. Moi, je te porte le plus grand trésor que la terre ait jamais porté. Et je sais où se trouve le trésor. Mais que feras-tu de ces fortunes? Feras-tu le bien ou laisseras-tu ton cœur s'emplir de haine?
À partir de maintenant, c'est moi qui récompense.
It is only French.
C'est moi qui punis. Qui êtes-vous? Je suis le comte de Monte Cristo.
Je suis le comte de Monte Cristo.
Nous prendrons
Oh my god,
tout le
he's
temps
got
qu'il faut pour être prêt.
Prêt à faire quoi?
À se venger.
Chérie, je te présente enfin le comte de Monte Cristo.
Oh, Mercedes Witton,
Albert, que sais-tu de cet homme?
Je me méfie de tout le monde en général et des étrangers en particulier.
Je saurai qui est ce monsieur
Oh
Monte
my god,
Cristo.
shipwreck, what's going on?
D'où il vient?
Où il va?
Vous n'avez donc aucune pitié?
Et eux, ont-ils vu pour Edmond Dantès?
Oh,
Moi aussi, vous êtes prêt à me sacrifier pour votre vengeance?
Ce n'est pas de la vengeance, c'est de la justice.
c'est pas la revanche, c'est la justice.
Si je renonce à me faire justice,
Ooh, that's weird.
je renonce à la seule force qui me tient en vie.
Mask. Okay, cool. Cool. We're gonna have to watch that at the end of this, aren't we? Is it going to be in the cinemas in London? Okay, anyway, what fun. I called it. Our serial killer poisoner has been revealed. I totally knew who it was, and yet still satisfying. We're in the home stretch. I've got 4 hours left of this book. I've listened to almost 42 hours. But 2 out of 4 of the people that were instrumental in Edmund's demise and imprisonment are now dead. And like 2 more are about to, I don't know, see some kind of ruin. I don't know if they'll die as well, but the kind of punishment that it feels like they're being set up for is more just like family ruin rather than like death themselves. Money ruin, like that kind of thing. It's very satisfying. Because we're nearing the end now, there's definitely no new characters that are getting introduced. So like as soon as we got past the hump of like there being constant new characters, and also like people pretending to be other people. Once it was like established, I was like, okay, this is our cast. I think I know who everyone is and who everyone's pretending to be and who's related to who and all these different things. There's still like one big reveal that I'm like, oh, I cannot wait for. You know when like you, the reader, knows something and the characters don't, and the characters are like discussing things and you're like, oh my God, if only you knew. It's good. I'm like, that reveal is the one I think I'm very excited for. I'm very glad we've had our poisoner reveal yet. It's not like been revealed to everyone, so like only 1 person, 2 people. No, it's good. It's like guys, I think they're gonna do a Romeo and Juliet. We've had our star-crossed lovers. They've been established for a while, but one of them is now dead, wink wink wink, and the lover has discovered the dead body and thinks that she is really dead. Sound familiar? Anybody? Well, I really hope that they don't Romeo and Juliet these two, because so far the Count is trying really hard to make sure that everybody he loves is happy and gets what they want, and then everyone he hates, destroy. And these 2 people are people that he loves. And why didn't the Count tell him his plans? This is the same frustration that you always get when you watch Romeo and Juliet. You're like, why did nobody tell him? Oh, I guess they did try to tell him, but why didn't he tell him? I'm fine. We'll see. I don't know if it's gonna end well for these 2. And then maybe that will like tip the Count over the edge and something else. Oh, I don't know. I just got back from dropping off Rowan at his childminders and I was gonna start work, but I had like 15 minutes left of the Count of Monte Cristo. So I made myself some breakfast whilst listening to it and I just finished it. And oh boy, I really liked that book. It was really leaving me hanging with the whole like Romeo and Juliet thing right until the last minute. I was like, is he gonna kill himself? I was not best pleased for a while, but it's fine. And also, I got quite emotional at the end there, which I wasn't expecting to. I was kind of enjoying the narrative and the story and the characters and everything as a bit of a voyeur, just like watching but not feeling like super emotionally invested in it all and the themes and things. But then literally those last 10 minutes, I was like, oh, Oh, I really liked it. Oh no. Are there more classics that I should read? I've never really gotten into classics before. Right, that book was so long that it's been a hot minute since I read Beach Read by Emily Henry, which was the Enneagram 7 recommendation. Count of Monte Cristo was the Myers-Briggs ENFJ recommendation. So I'm gonna eat my bagel and scrambled eggs and beans in peace, and then we're gonna come back and take a look at both of those books and my overall thoughts and reviews of them. Hey, 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 welcome back. It's time to take stock of what happened and rate these books and tell you my thoughts on them. So, it feels like forever ago because the Count of Monte Cristo was so damn long, but Beach Read by Emily Henry, I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. I still love Emily Henry, I still love Julia Whelan as a narrator, but this one was not my fave. It was not my fave Emily Henry. I think if we're focusing on the personality type situation here, the Enneagram 7 in me needed more. I was feeling very claustrophobic with just the focus on my two main characters. I needed more fleshed out main characters and location. Where were my B and C plots going on? I was not a kid in a candy store. I was being denied my candy store, and my Enneagram 7 wanted the candy store of characters and plots and things going on. But I did like the cult stuff in the book. Big fan of the cult stuff. Is that an Enneagram 7 thing? Who knows? And there's something that I don't think I've spoken about with Emily Henry's books before, is that she actually introduced me to a new word that is new to my vocabulary that she uses in all of her books. I think this might be her favorite word, and it is guffaw. And also I love the way that Julia Whelan says it. Guffaw. Guffaw, he guffawed. And I'd never heard this word before, but it basically means like a loud and hearty laugh. Like I kind of imagine it when she says a character guffaws, I'm like, it's like a like that, like it's almost like one that you can't keep in and it's very airy. That's how I imagine it in my head. But Emily Henry fucking loves a guffaw, and there was some guffawing in this book and I like it. Okay, The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. I think at some point in the vlog I might have said Dumas. I'm sorry, Dumas. I gave this one a 4.5 stars. I loved it. I took half a star off purely because it was just a bunch of white men talking in rooms most of the time. And I did sometimes find it hard to follow. But when I was in, and I found the plot just incredibly compelling. It was 45 hours long. The book is over 1,000 pages long, and I was captivated. How? Sometimes you can't explain these things. Here's my armchair psychology. I think that The Count of Monte Cristo is an ENFJ, and that is why I liked this book, and that is why maybe this is a ENFJ recommendation. Let's go back to that ENFJ description from the beginning. They have strong ideas and values, and they back their perspective with the creative energy to achieve their goals. The Count's goal of revenge, that man had the creative energy. He had the stamina. He had the ideas. Honestly, good job, Count. I mean, maybe not because of some of the like death side effects of people that maybe didn't deserve to die, but the creative energy was there. So I'm putting it out there. I think that the Count of Monte Cristo himself is an ENFJ. But the way that I have been describing this book is that the scope of it, the ambition of it, the complexity of it, with all of these different moving parts, all of these different characters, the years that it spans, the plots that it spans, like all of these different subplots going on, like the mystery unraveling and then like slowly being revealed to the reader and like leaving little clues here and there as to like what's gonna happen and what's going on. All of that is what I love about fantasy books, like your big epic fantasy series. And I was like, this is just a fantasy book. This is just hitting it all, except it's set in the real world. There's just no dragons or magic, but it still feels like as big and as ambitious as one of those like big fantasy series. So I think that's why I vibed with it a lot. By the end, I wasn't checking my Spark Notes anymore. Once all of the characters were established and all of the like characters pretending to be other characters was established, I then was like, I'm in, let's go. And I was in the home stretch by then, and so they weren't like introducing new people by that point. And so I was like, I've got this, let's go. But there was definitely that rocky patch in the middle where I did need to check Spark Notes quite a lot. So I was like, what on earth am I reading? What is happening? Have I missed something? There was a moment when I was listening to it where I almost spat out my drink, and I cannot remember the context of this, but I wrote down what the quote was, and it was, he mentally ejaculated. I'm a child. I'm a child. Yeah, I cannot remember what that was in reference to. I think the character who mentally ejaculated might have been Maximilian, but I don't remember how or why he mentally ejaculated. I can't remember, but I found it funny at the time. This book was truly an epic revenge story, and definitely a revenge is a dish best served cold kind of revenge, which we've established seems to be my preference in revenge stories. We don't like it hot. I don't like it hot. It's brash, it's unthought through, it's spontaneous. No. We like strategy, we like planning, we like meticulous waiting for the opportune moment. Do I think that everyone got what they deserved? Yes, in some cases, but definitely not others. Do I think the Count went too far? Yes, in some places, yes. Was I emotionally captivated the entire time though? Was I rooting for him? Yes, I was. Yes, I was. I haven't watched any of the movies yet. At the time that I am filming this, the new movie still isn't out yet. But I am gonna try and get to the cinema for 3 hours and watch it at some point. We'll see. Update, I've seen the new Count of Monte Cristo film. I think I've become a Count of Monte Cristo fangirl. I don't know how this happened. We were up in Edinburgh visiting some friends, Dan's best friend and his wife, who luckily I get on very well with. And the boys went out for drinks and a catch up and social time with them, and we stayed in obviously because I had Rowan with us, and we watched The Great Gatsby. Love that film. And I mentioned that I was rereading the book for a book club, and she was like, not really a fan of Fitzgerald, and then just mentioned that she loved The Count of Monte Cristo. And I was like, hold up. I also love The Count of Monte Cristo, and I've only just recently read it. And so then we had this whole conversation about how much we love The Count of Monte Cristo and just like what an epic story it is. And she was like, have you seen that there's a new film? And I was like, yeah. And we looked up cinema times in Edinburgh, and when our husbands got back home drunk that evening, ambush. Can we go to see The Count of Monte Cristo, a 3-hour-long film tomorrow afternoon whilst you look after Rowan? Yeah. And honestly, I could not have asked for a better cinema partner to see this film. Somebody who was just as into the source material and just like ready to like discuss and dive in. And it was brilliant. It was great. And I'm talking about the film, but also my personal cinema going experience of seeing this film was 10 out of 10. When I'm talking about the actual film, yes, they did change a lot, which is to be expected for a 1,000+ page book, even if it was a 3-hour-long film, but it went fast. I only needed to go to the toilet once. But they kept most of the same characters. There was like a bit of an addition and merging of things and like changing the storyline slightly just to like make it faster and also like a bit more like dramatic for the screen. Although, do you really need to make this story more dramatic? Because there's just so much drama in this story. However, there was one plot line that they entirely erased, which was our serial killer poisoner gone. And our star-crossed lovers character, because they were like connected to the serial killer storyline, also gone. But 2 other characters that do exist in the story, they kind of like turned them slightly into the star-crossed lovers, but not quite. But they served the same kind of purpose in terms of the impact that their story has on the Count. But it was brilliant. We were laughing out loud in the scene where Villefort goes to meet the Englishman. I think they changed his name. In the film, he's called Lord Halifax, but it's the Count in disguise. But he's pretending to be an Englishman, but speaking French, and the new film is all in French with subtitles. So he's speaking French, but pretending to do it in an English accent, and it was fucking hilarious. It was so funny. It was great. I had a great time. Count of Monte Cristo, man. What's happened to me? I love it. Am I gonna have to like get the physical book as a trophy of my reading it and my newfound fandom of it? Perhaps. I don't know if it will still be in cinemas by the time that you're seeing this, but it's great.
My friend had also seen the 2002 version, and she was telling me about some of the absolutely hilarious scenes that are in that. And the consensus is that this new 2024 version is better, but for the lols, maybe I'll try watching the 2002 version at some point. And the 1975, but 2024, Count of Monte Cristo, loved it. Loved it.
But if you are interested in my thoughts on films and TV and other books that I read that I don't happen to vlog my experience of reading, every month on my Patreon I do mini reviews of everything that I have read and watched in that last month called My Opinion Doesn't Matter. So you get a breakdown of everything and like what I thought of them. Would I recommend them? I don't know, maybe. So if I do watch any of the Count of Monte Cristo films, I will definitely be writing about them for patrons. But there we go. Would you like to see another one of these, but for the zodiac? I am a Pisces sun, Cancer rising, and Virgo moon, and we could do a reading vlog where I read one book per thing. Pisces, Cancer, Virgo. And honestly, I know less about astrology than I do about these personality tests. So we'll see how that goes. But do let me know if you'd be interested in that, in a similar vein to this one. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope that you're doing well. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss new videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!